on time because I have a lot of stuff to share. All right. As we go through, if you want to pop into the chat to answer any questions or any prompts that I give you to enter into that giveaway at the end, I'm going to actually give away all the prizes tonight at 7 p.m. So welcome to week 2. I'm so excited you guys are here. Last week was so fun. Stay to the end to get a free copy of my Flare-Free Math Autoimmune Symptom Tracker, which is going to help you learn how to do flare-free math so you can eat out on occasion, okay? Hi, everybody. And then at 7 p.m. on Instagram, I'm going to take all of your entries and I'm going to do the live giveaway. So follow me on Instagram at Chef Laura Rodriguez if you want to see that live giveaway. But you don't have to be present. I'll email you guys. All right, so last week we talked about how to embrace a healing mindset so you can have the emotional strength and the mental fortitude to actually stick with this even when your life gets crazy and chaotic and you feel like giving up, right? We also talked about how to peacefully transition away from your current diet so that you can slowly bring your taste buds and your picky eaters along this journey with you so that it actually sticks, right? And can you guys tell me in the chat, or can you hear me? I just want to make sure everything's working properly and I don't go too far. Okay, this week we're going to talk about how to indulge in your flare foods carefully on occasion without ending up in a flare, and then how to cook and clean in half the time so that you can actually fit this into your busy lifestyle. But before we get started, I want to celebrate you. I want to know in the comments below, and when you comment, you'll actually get 5 free bonus entries into the giveaway. So what's one thing that you did last week after our workshop that you learned and you went home and you implemented with success? What's one little win that you had after last week's workshop? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, like, oh, well, I didn't have a single pain. No, I'm talking about like Amy said, I went to the grocery store and I bought some stuff. Like, what was one thing that you did after last week's workshop that you did successfully? Comment below in the chat and I will record your 5 bonus entries into the giveaway, and then I'll read those as they come along. All right, so mistake number 3 is you can't resist the urge to eat foods that make you flare, so you stop going to family parties and friends outings so that you can stick to your rigid, healthy eating plan, right? But here's what happens. It becomes really difficult to keep up with that because you miss going out with your friends and family. You miss eating normal food. You miss feeling like a normal person. And so what happens is you go back to eating the same thing that everybody else around you gets to eat. And they're not sick, right? And then you end up at rock bottom in your health again, but this time it's worse than ever, right? Like my second my second big flare moment when I like basically almost lost my ability to walk, right? Okay, here's the truth. Nobody can eat flare-free 100% of the time, and anybody who tells you that is either lying to you or struggling with something called orthorexia, which is a new eating disorder based on the fixation with eating clean, okay? But here's the thing. You actually don't have to choose between eating good, feeling good, and loving your food, right? If you learn to identify and classify your personal triggers, you can actually indulge in them carefully on occasion without flaring so you can enjoy your life, okay? And the best way to do that is to embrace the 80-20 rule. Somebody said read labels. Okay, give me your first and last name so I can record your entry. I'm glad that you learned that you successfully read some labels. That's so good. Amy said, I went to the grocery store and got a few new things on the list I hadn't tried. I like the ghee a lot. Coco June yogurt is good. Yay, good job. Okay, the best way to do this is to embrace what I call the 80-20 rule. It's actually not something I call, it's a real thing. Somebody created it, not me, but you basically eat anti-inflammatory scratch-made meals at home 80% of the time, right? And then the other 20% of the time, you use what I call flare-free math, okay? This is the mental math and physical trial and error that you need to do in order to identify your personal threshold for indulging without flaring, okay? And Angela said, I cooked with ghee a lot more. Yay! No, now I just want to tell you, depending on the severity of your condition, how many autoimmune conditions you have, how many comorbidities you have, all these things, some of us may need to eat closer to 90-10 at first until your symptoms start to subside, and then you can fall back into more of an 80-20 balance. Okay, does that make sense? But some of us have to eat 80-20 because that's what feels safest for our nervous system, right? And so as you get used to the taste of flare-free food and your body starts to heal and you achieve what I call autoimmune food freedom, which I'm going to talk about soon, you'll automatically naturally, not everybody, but some of you will automatically naturally start eating closer to 90/10 because this is just your way of life and it's what you like and it doesn't bother you, right? And that's certainly what happened to me. I started with 80/20, basically eating at home all throughout the week and then eating whatever I wanted on the weekends. And then as, the years went on and I ended up at rock bottom a second time, now I pretty much eat 90/10. Even if I go out to eat, I'm eating pretty much flare-free for the most part, okay? Now, some of you will start with 80/20 and stay there forever, right? Now, everybody's different. I just want to let you know that this is where individualized coaching and listening to you and what you're struggling with now and where you want to be and then your specific conditions, that really helps, okay? Now, I think I already told you that. Okay. Now, there's a lot of debate over which foods are anti-inflammatory and which are inflammatory. Okay. There's a lot of conflicting health advice out there. Many of you mentioned that in your surveys and in your homework. So I want you to take a pen and paper. If you feel like you don't know what's inflammatory and what's not inflammatory, what's anti-inflammatory, grab a piece of pen and paper because we're going to dissect it and I want you to write these things down. Okay. A lot of immune specialists and immune doctors are going to tell you, autoimmune doctors are going to tell you to eat AIP, which is autoimmune paleo. Okay. But I personally find that diet to be extremely restrictive and very hard to keep up with. And honestly, most of the people who try it, they end up failing and then they basically give up on healthy eating altogether because they're like, this is so unattainable that they just go back to eating whatever they, were raised to eat. So, and let me tell you something. Last year, or it could have been 2 years ago, I forget, the AIP researchers actually came out with a new guideline. They changed their original diet. So now they have AIP and then they have I forget what it's called. Let me see. Did I put it here? Modified AIP. Okay, which is a shorter list of foods because here's what they learned. That stricter isn't better because it turns out that most people actually hit remission before finishing the full elimination diet. And they realized that so many people were getting stressed out about this and not being able to stick with it that they realized how detrimental it was for people. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit, okay? But just keep that in mind. And here's the truth, guys. There's not one single diet that has been proven to be the one that heals autoimmunity. There's many different ways you can go about it. You can do AIP, you can do Mediterranean, heck, you could just do paleo, you can do Wall's protocol, you can do low FODMAP. They all work, okay? Whole30, all these things work, okay? I recommend that you do the one that feels most doable to you and the one that causes you the least amount of stress and the one that makes you physically feel the best, okay? Now, the diet that I started, that I used when I started, and the same one that I teach today is basically like the Mediterranean diet on crack, okay? It's the same diet that I was using to feed cancer patients at work. And since like cancer runs in my family, it was one that felt good for me to use. I felt safe using it. I was like, okay, let me do this. And guess what? It worked. Within 3 months of eating this way, my migraines, my eczema, and my joint pain all went away. Okay. Now, I just want to take a moment to address what I mean when I say Mediterranean diet on crack. Okay. Europe has the highest rates of MS than anywhere else in the world. 1 in 60 kids in Italy have celiac. And Finland actually has the highest rates of celiac anywhere in the world. 2% of their population has celiac. That number normally, like traditionally all around the world, hovers at 1%. Okay, so they have double. 10% of Brits have an autoimmune condition, and 1 in 5 people in Ireland have autoimmunity. So, in my expert opinion and in my personal experience, it's not enough to just eat the classic Mediterranean diet, right? In fact, that's how I had actually been eating for over a decade when I got autoimmunity. Okay. Because I actually learned how to cook in Italy. Prior to that, I had eaten mostly ultra processed foods growing up because I was the mom or the daughter of a single mom who had multiple jobs at once. And so we ate a lot of hamburger helper, canned ravioli, cereal, things like that. Okay. So, but learning to cook in Italy and learning what a farmer's market was and what a zucchini was and what an eggplant is, and the fact that Parmesan cheese doesn't come in a green shaky can, that completely changed my life forever. And I ate single ingredient whole foods made from scratch after that for 11 years before I got autoimmunity. Okay, remember, I used to own an organic farm to table catering company and I still got autoimmunity. That's why I say it's not enough to just eat the Mediterranean diet, okay? So instead, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make 80% of your diet, 80 to 90%, whatever you need to do for your specific situation, right? Anti-inflammatory foods like colorful in-season fruit and vegetables, okay? Except for corn. Corn is highly inflammatory. It's not highly inflammatory, but it's high glycemic. And it can cause issues for a lot of folks because in the body, it basically has the same protein structure as gluten. So it can cause something called molecular mimicry, where your body doesn't know the difference between you eating gluten or your thyroid antibodies being released, and then it starts to attack your own tissues. We're going to talk more about this in a second, but I just want to say colorful in season vegetables, except corn, organic if they're on the dirty dozen list. Now, the dirty dozen list is a list of foods that are profusely sprayed with pesticides here in America, okay? So things like apples, strawberries, peaches, bell peppers, kale, collard greens, things like that. Because one of the main triggers of autoimmunity, and we're going to talk about this more too, but I'll just say why, because I want you to understand why I'm saying this. I'm not just pulling this out of thin air, okay? One of the main triggers of autoimmunity is environmental toxins, okay? A buildup of environmental toxins in the body and overexposure to environmental toxins with a compromised ability to detox them. Does that make sense? And so, pesticides are one of the main environmental toxins that we come into contact with every day. So if you can find it and you can afford it and it's on the dirty dozen list, reach for it in organic, okay? Now, a little tip there, if you can't afford the fresh, go for the frozen. Frozen strawberries, frozen blueberries, things like that, okay? Now, organic pastured meat and eggs, okay, especially lean meats like pastured chicken and turkey. But you can also sprinkle in organic grass-fed, grass-finished beef, organic grass-fed, grass-finished lamb. Okay, I usually don't recommend pork unless it's something you eat rarely, like prosciutto or bacon, right? And then, of course, eggs. We talked about pastured eggs last week. Wild caught seafood, so things that are not farm raised, okay? Especially omega-3 rich fishes like salmon, cod, sardines, and herring. Omega-3s are those powerful, they're powerful anti-inflammatories that we honestly don't get enough of in our diet. And they actually help to heal the gut, which is really, really important for autoimmunity. We're going to talk about that too. If I'm going too fast at any time, let me know and I'll slow down, okay? Organic, gluten-free whole grains, except for oats, because oats, like corn, they're high glycemic, okay? So those are something you want to eat on occasion. Not having oatmeal for breakfast on an empty stomach. That's going to spike your blood sugar, and blood sugar spikes lead to inflammation. They cause inflammation, okay? So things like quinoa, millet, amaranth, brown rice, black rice, wild rice. Something we haven't talked about yet, the darker the fruit or vegetable or the darker the ingredient like black rice, the more antioxidants it has. So sprinkle in 1 to 2 tablespoons of black rice with your brown rice and make purple rice. This is very common in South Korea. I used to live in South Korea too. And you can make purple rice. And so it'll have a ton of antioxidants in it as well. Okay. Plus it looks fun and the kids love it. Organic beans and legumes, except for soy, because soy can, and I'll say some people can have soy, but if you have Hashimoto's, you probably want to take it out. Do your own research, but the research shows that eating soy can actually block the body's production of thyroid hormones. So you want to take that out. Otherwise, most people can eat whole food forms of soy, like organic tofu, tempeh, soy sauce. I would get the gluten-free soy sauce, things like that. Okay. But you want to stay away from because soy is one of those things where it's it's in a lot of processed packaged food. So it's hard to stay away from for certain things, but also it's highly sprayed with pesticides. And so if you can tolerate it, reach for the organic version. Okay. Raw nuts and seeds, so not the ones that have been cooked in cottonseed oil and have salt on them. You want to get them raw and just cook them yourself in a little avocado oil, a little sea salt, right? Non-industrially refined hydrogenated cooking oils, like we were talking about last week. So extra virgin olive oil, good quality expeller pressed avocado oil. Like I'll put this in the chat, Chosen Foods, and then Primal Kitchen. Those are the two reputable brands that inside the bottle is actually expeller pressed avocado oil and it's not mixed with anything else, okay? I'll also put California Ranch California Ranch is a great company that actually has real organic, or not organic, you have to buy organic, but real olive oil in the bottles, not mixed with anything else, okay? Organic grass-fed ghee, as we talked about, and then of course virgin coconut oil. So it has to say virgin or unrefined coconut oil. So that means it's going to taste and smell like coconut. But to combat that, you just add more what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh. Aromatics, more onion, more garlic, more ginger, more, spices and stuff. And then you won't taste it. But for grass-fed ghee and for virgin coconut oil, you do want to keep them, like, you want to use them in moderation to some extent, because you want to keep your intake of saturated fats below 25%. So you want to make sure that it's something that you're using when you want a buttery flavor, but not cooking everything in it. Okay. And you can use coconut oil. A lot of baking recipes will call for it. Okay. Now you can indulge in these inflammatory foods carefully, okay? The other 10 to 20% of the time, unless, of course, you are allergic, you have a sensitivity to it that you've been tested for, or, like, for example, you have celiac, okay? So, gluten. Now, I put a little asterisk here, and I'll explain why in a second, but just gluten, dairy, and sugar all have an asterisk by it, and I'll tell you why in a second. So gluten, things like barley, rye, wheat, couscous, farro, orzo, semolina, durum, spelt, bulgur, oats. Unless it says gluten-free oats, they will be processed in a factory that processes wheat, and a lot of times they can have cross-contamination. So I usually buy gluten-free oats, okay? Now, if you have celiac, obviously you don't want to eat gluten, because every time you eat gluten, your immune system literally attacks your colon. That's why you have bathroom issues, right? Digestive issues, and you're in the bathroom and you have pain. So don't eat gluten at all. The only treatment for celiac is, as far as the allopathic, conventional doctors are going to tell you, is to avoid gluten. So this is not something you can have 10 or 20%. No, no gluten at all, okay? Now, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Hashimoto's, type 1 diabetes, psoriasis, or multiple sclerosis, I highly suggest you also eat gluten-free, because people with these conditions often have, and you can get if you don't believe me, get the testing, get the DNA testing, but we have the same DNA, because in autoimmunity, a lot of these DNA genes, they overlap. That's why autoimmunity runs in pairs. That's why you'll see a lot of people with RA also have celiac, or vice versa. A lot of people with type 1 diabetes also have celiac, and vice versa, okay? And so that's why, in my opinion, if you have rheumatoid arthritis but you're still eating gluten, you're probably going to feel like crap. I'm sorry. So let me know in the comments below before I go faster or go to the next thing if you have any questions about that, okay? I hope I said everything I wanted to say about that. Now, dairy, okay, except organic Greek yogurt. This has been found to have large benefits for the gut. Okay, there's actually a woman from Spain, I believe she passed away in 2023, who lived to be 117. This stuff makes me so emotional. Oh my gosh. Okay, she lived to be 117 years old, and she actually ate Greek yogurt 3 times a day. And there are studies that show Greek yogurt is it's very helpful for healing the gut and for keeping a healthy gut microbiome. So unless you have a dairy allergy, right? Or you can't afford, or you can't find a plain unsweetened yogurt like Cocoa June, like we talked about last week, eat organic Greek yogurt or organic grass-fed yogurt, okay? And see how that goes for you. And then sugar. We know sugar is one of the top inflammatory foods. It's highly addictive. It's linked to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, so many things. We want to stay away from sugar and sugar-sweetened beverages, including things that are made with sorbitol. This is one of the things that a lot of the package will say sugar-free, and it's not. Sorbitol is actually a chemically derived sweetener that's like way sweeter than sugar. I forget the statistic. Is it 2 times sweeter than sugar, or 200? I forget. So don't quote me on that. But it's a chemically derived sweetener, and it will cause inflammation, and a lot of times it'll cause digestive issues. So you want to reach for something that says either no sugar added or unsweetened. Okay? We got to stay away from sugar, juices, things like that. Energy drinks, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, corn and soy, these are largely going to depend on the person, okay? Corn, like I said earlier, it can cause molecular mimicry. Your body thinks you're eating gluten when you're not. So if you have the same conditions as I mentioned earlier, celiac, RA, lupus, Hashimoto's, type 1 diabetes, psoriasis, or multiple sclerosis, you may want to stay away from corn as well. Now, grains and beans can sometimes be similar here. So this is, we're going to talk about it. It's all very individualized. That's why I say there's no one diet to heal you. If you're confused on what to eat, there's a reason for that because it's confusing. We have to identify and classify your personal food triggers, okay? And then lastly, soy, or not lastly, but for this slide, soy is not, we talked about not recommended for people with Hashimoto's. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. The reason why Hashimoto's is here under gluten is because Hashimoto's is the same as corn, where when you eat it, it has the same protein structure as your thyroid. So your body goes, oh, there's the thyroid antibodies are all around into the bloodstream, and now I need to attack the thyroid. Okay, so it mistakenly thinks that the gluten is your thyroid antibody and it will attack the thyroid, okay, and cause damage to it. So gluten is a big no-no for people with Hashimoto's. I believe the statistic is 80 to 90% of people who have Hashimoto's feel better and have a reduction in their symptoms and can even reach remission by removing gluten. Now, another thing to mention is dairy often has the same protein structure. Gluten, dairy, grains, and corn all have the same protein structure. And so that's why we say gluten, dairy, sugar free, because a lot of people feel better when they take gluten or dairy out as well. But it will vary based from person to person. Okay, I think this is a couple more. Okay. Another thing we want to either avoid or remove from our diet is refined carbs. So things like white rice, white flour, white bread, right? So that's why in our food chain, the gluten-free bread that was made from white rice flour and corn flour and tapioca starch, that's in the middle. But we want to work our way up to eating a whole grain seeded bread, right? That has amaranth and quinoa and millet and these types of things. Now, processed meats. Okay, so things like salami, sausages, smoked and cured meats, hot dogs, lunch meat, jerky, canned meat, bacon, these are all highly inflammatory. But you can have a little bit of prosciutto on a salad. You can have, a hot dog once a year. I personally go out of my way to make sure I'm reaching for uncured, no sugar added, and if it's like turkey deli meat or chicken sausage, I'll try to find it in organic. And then if it's like beef jerky or a hot dog or bacon, I'm going to try to find, well, for bacon, I'll write this in the chat. I usually do uncured, no sugar added turkey bacon. If I can't find that, I'll do uncured, no sugar added regular bacon. Okay. But you can also find like grass-fed, no sugar added beef jerky. Okay. And then industrially refined nut and seed oils and trans fats. So things like vegetable oil, canola oil, grapeseed oil, etc. Now, the science on this is very, very mixed. And I will say that seed oils have gotten a lot of press lately, and everybody is demonizing seed oils. But the research shows that actually seed oils are most inflammatory when they're paired with packaged ultra processed foods. So if you have, like say, for example, you find a paleo packaged granola bar and it's made from almond flour, but it has a little sunflower oil in it. That's not the same as eating, I'm trying to think of an example, like a ho-ho or like what do they call those? Little Debbie's Hostess donut or something like that. Okay. But the thing about it is, even though you flip the back of the package over and you see that the vegetable oil says no trans fats, it can and usually does contain trace amounts of trans fats. And so trying to reduce your exposure to this is beneficial. The way that I recommend doing it is cooking at home with the healthy oils. Then if you're buying processed packaged snacks and stuff and you like the ingredients for the most part on the back, but it has sunflower oil or organic safflower oil, let it ride. Okay. Let it ride. Ultra processed packaged foods, right? So like I think I'm going to give you an example here to show you, but like I was saying earlier, like the ho-hos, the hostess donuts, things like that. I struggle to remember the name of these things because I haven't bought them in so long. And then, of course, I this goes without saying, alcohol. Alcohol is highly inflammatory. We want to try to avoid it and omit it, but I'm not going to say rip out all these things all at the same time because I know it's not practical and it's not realistic. So I say you can sprinkle in alcohol, but stay away from the beer, okay? Drinking gluten is not good for the gut, okay? I will say this one thing about maybe I'll talk about it later when we talk about the gut. I'm going to put it in the chat. Remind me to talk about zonulin and leaky gut, okay? We'll talk about that later. So this is an example of what I'm saying, a processed food. This is a highly processed packaged food. But look, if you flip around the back of the ingredient list, it's got like 5 or 6 ingredients, and you can identify and pronounce all of them. You know what they are. They occur naturally in nature. It's like almond flour, coconut sugar, safflower oil, you know, carrots, raisins. Okay. That's what I mean when I say sprinkle in 20% ultra, packaged processed foods. The stuff on the right here, guys, we got to get away from this. Just rip it out. If you know it and you're familiar with it and you can see it from a mile away in the grocery store, look past it. I promise you. Look past it because chances are this is the reason. This has a lot to do with why we got sick in the first place. Look for the more naturally colored and aesthetic, packaging. Then flip it around and look at the back. And then go do yourself a favor. Grab one of these Simple Mills, granola bars, and then grab what's the other one? It's called Quaker Oats. Quaker Oats. Quaker Oats granola bar. Flip the two around in the grocery store and read the ingredients and see how they differ. You'll understand what I'm talking about when you do that, okay? What do I think about Thrive Market? I think Thrive Market is wonderful. If you can afford it, absolutely. 100%. Why not? I think it's great. Now, when I say alcohol, I mean like an organic red wine or an organic white wine. You can get these at the grocery store. You get our liquor store here in Portland, Tennessee, which is a tiny little podunk town, 45 minutes north of Nashville, has like 3 different organic wines. Okay. Or like an organic vodka or tequila with a no sugar added, sparkling water, or even better yet, use a mineral water so you're getting minerals with it, right? And then you can add your own, like I keep in my fridge 100%, no sugar added organic pomegranate juice, or I like to buy the one that's like the antioxidant blend. It's got like carrots and blueberries. Put that in a little sparkling water with a little organic vodka or a little organic tequila. I do not think you're going to be able to avoid a flare if you keep drinking this type of stuff. Okay. And I'm sorry to my Canadian friends and my international friends who don't know these brands. I apologize, but I think if you have specific questions or you need help, I'm happy to research for you. So go ahead and screenshot this, okay? So you can have it for later. Let's quickly review. Vegetables, fruits, lean meats, organic or pasture raised, pastured eggs, wild caught seafood, gluten-free whole grains, beans and legumes, raw nuts and seeds, good quality cooking oils. So when you feel like there's nothing left to eat, look back at this screenshot. There's a whole mess of stuff to eat, guys. What you want to try to take out or avoid or only sprinkle in 10 to 20% of the time is the gluten. Not if you have celiac. Not if you have those other conditions we talked about. Definitely not if you have Hashimoto's. Dairy. Strongly suggest maybe not if you have celiac or Hashimoto's or RA or MS, because both of these things, the body's going to see it as gluten anyway. Sugar. We got to stay away from sugar. Sweetened beverages, energy drinks, putting sugar in our coffee and tea, right? Corn and soy. These 2 things may not be a problem for you. Vegetable oils, refined foods, processed meats, ultra-processed packaged foods, and alcohol. How do we feel about that, guys? Let me know in the chat below. How are we feeling now that I broke that down for you? Are you more confused? There was a lot of people who came to the workshop last week that felt very overwhelmed by what to eat. So I hope that this didn't confuse you further. Let me know in the chat, guys. Okay, I'm going to move forward. We got nobody in the chat. The lack of having any options for bread and bread-like carbs is the most frustrating. Okay. I'm gonna give you some mindset work here because I appreciate you commenting, okay? In my opinion, when I first started, I ripped out bread all entire I stopped eating it because when I first started, we didn't have a lot of options. Now we have so many more options. But at the end of the day, I do believe all around the world, as humans, we eat a lot of bread, and bread takes the place of nutrients. So think about it like this: if your plate has to be made up of half vegetables and fruits, one quarter whole grains, and one quarter meat, how are we going to get all that if we have a big old piece of bread with a few slices of salami or, turkey on it? Which, by the way, I think like 2 or 3 pieces of lunch meat only has 4 grams of protein, and we need about 100 grams of protein every day, especially as we age, especially as we enter perimenopause and menopause for women, okay? So I believe we can mourn the foods that we used to love and that we miss and that we can't have or we can't find. It's okay to mourn those foods, but over time, let's welcome in the nutrients and think about it like this. The less bread I eat, doesn't matter if it's gluten free or not, the better I'm going to feel because bread is highly why do I keep saying highly? It's high glycemic. It's going to spike your blood sugar. So whether or not you have autoimmunity, you're going to have inflammation if you have a lot of bread in your diet. That's just one way to think about it, okay? But don't be like me where I just took out bread altogether because I was like I was borderline orthorexic. I think I was actually. I got really fixated on only eating the cleanest foods. And that causes your body a lot of stress. So mourn the bread, find what you can, but let's learn to eat other things. Roast a potato, roast some sweet potatoes, have some brown rice, have some quinoa. I'm not saying eat 100% carb free, but do you see what I'm saying with that? This list is very helpful. I found it interesting to learn about corn and its mimicry. Yes. I went on an elimination diet in April and I lost my taste for wine. Oh, interesting. I feel like I can never lose my taste for wine. We went to Italy in November, and I had been 6 months alcohol free, and 3 months into the trip, I was like, I have to have a glass of wine. It was just killing me. I was like, I just love the taste of wine. I will say, if anybody is alcohol free, there's a company called Prima Pave from Italy. They make the best tasting non-alcoholic wine. It's so good. It tastes like real wine. Very helpful, just hard to implement. Yeah, of course. This is not easy. Great tips to choose food. Yes. I learned to make my own bread and it takes only 20. That's another thing. You could absolutely make your own bread, but I will say making your own bread at home, you're going to eat a lot more bread because it's fresh, it's hot, you don't want to waste it. It takes work. I think as a society, we really need to work on moving away from our ultra dependence on eating bread a lot because I used to eat a lot of bread, I'm telling you. I mean, I lived in Italy, okay? And replacing that with something more nutrient dense on our plate to help us have longevity, right? What about grain-free bread though? Sure, grain-free bread. Why not? I would love to make my own bread. Yes, I can share a recipe. Let me see how I can I don't know if it's Sabi or Sabi. I'm sorry if I pronounce that wrong. Can you please email me and I will send you my bread recipe because I'm going to forget if you don't. All right. Now, there's a couple caveats here. We kind of talked about that, but gluten, dairy, and sugar, I told you there was an asterisk, and I was going to tell you why. These are the top 3 foods that the National Institutes of Health recommends you avoid entirely if you have something called increased intestinal permeability. Now, increased intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut, you may have heard this term, is when the tight junctions of the gut lining are no longer tight and they become leaky. Okay. And what happens is, well, I guess I'll get to that. Or do I not say that? Okay, yeah. What happens is viruses, bacteria, and food particles and toxins, they can all leak out into the bloodstream and cause your immune system to attack itself and go crazy, right? And cause a lot of inflammation in the body, okay? Now, what causes leaky gut? Chronic stress, poor diet, especially if you eat a diet that's high in ultra processed foods or gluten, because gluten actually releases something, or your body releases something called zonulin when you eat gluten. And the role of gluten, or the role of zonulin is literally to open those tight junctions of your gut lining to allow the gluten to pass through. Well, guess what? When you eat gluten 3 times a day, every day, and you drink beer at night, those tight junctions stay open. Okay? And that's how we get autoimmunity because the toxins, the undigested food particles, the bacteria, the viruses, all of these things are passing out of your gut and entering into your bloodstream, and your body is going, alert, alert, I'm under attack, I'm under attack. Okay? What it does, it goes to attack these food particles or these toxins or all of these things that leak out for no good reason other than I've been eating gluten for too long and my zonulin is upregulated. Now my gut is leaky, in addition to all the other things. I have chronic stress. I come into contact with toxins, right? As women, we slather things on our body, in our hair, makeup on our face. All these things can have hundreds of thousands of chemicals that the body, can't process, right? We can't detox. Alcohol also can tear holes in the gut lining. Antibiotic use. I mean, how many of us have had strep throat as a kid and we get on antibiotics, right? And other drugs that we can't avoid using, like chemo, for example. Chemo is a big one. Steroids, right? If you have rheumatoid arthritis and you get steroid shots, you can't avoid that, right? That's damaging the tight junctions of your gut lining. And then, of course, commonly used NSAIDs like aspirin and ibuprofen. Okay, I forgot what I was saying there, but I hope I got everything I wanted to say. Kind of cut myself off there. I'm allergic to gluten, but I realized corn products were causing me problems. Other thought I was overthinking it. So, yes, thank you for clarifying this. And I will tell you, the only reason why my flare-free foods is corn-free is because I'm sensitive to it, right? If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I can have some corn tortillas, but I can't eat corn the day before, the day after. It's like, so I understand, okay? And people will think you're crazy, but everybody's individualized. Everybody's different. Your body's going to react differently. Okay. Without getting too scientific here, I do want to mention this because somebody's going to come in and say all guts are leaky. Yes, by nature, all guts are permeable. Okay, like I said, when you eat gluten, the body produces zonulin, which opens the gut lining. This is a natural process, but they're supposed to close. But when we eat, toaster strudels and cereal and toast and eggs for breakfast, and then we have a sandwich or a pizza or a plate of pasta for lunch, and then we eat, I can't even think of what else. I mean, it's everything, right? Tacos on flour tortillas with a beer for dinner. You see how I'm saying these tight junctions can remain open, and that's, I'm telling you, one of the top causes of autoimmunity, okay? There's a doctor, his name is Alessio Fasano. I'm jumping ahead of here, but I want you to see. Dr. Alessio Fasano, he is a gastroenterologist and a celiac expert, and he has spent his life researching and studying this, and this is what he's found is that leaky gut is something that everybody with autoimmunity has. It's a precursor for autoimmunity. If you don't believe me, you can get your gut health tested and it will tell you, okay? Don't believe me. Be a skeptic all you want, but I promise you, if you have autoimmunity, you have increased intestinal permeability, okay? So if you're thinking that all guts are leaky, yes, you're right, they are, but it's when they become overly permeable and those tight junctions don't close up naturally. Okay, that's the problem we want to avoid, and that's the problem that we have if we have autoimmunity, okay? Because it's here that the immune system attacks itself, okay? Now, that's why I say with an asterisk, you'll want to avoid gluten, dairy, and sugar as best as possible if you're in a phase where you're healing leaky gut, okay, which can take up to 6 months, sometimes more, depending on how you do it or how leaky your gut is. But relax, okay? If you feel like there's no way I can eat gluten, dairy, sugar-free for 6 months or beyond, you don't have to work on healing leaky gut right away, okay? Because listen, your gut's automatically, to a certain degree, gonna start to heal itself once you remove these inflammatory foods and you start adding in nutrients, right? We replace the empty bread carbs with leafy green vegetables, with complex carbs like a sweet potato, with quinoa, which is full of omega-3s and fiber and protein, right? But also, listen, you can do anything, anything you set your mind to, especially when you have the right resources, somebody to hold you accountable, something to motivate you to hold yourself accountable. Okay. But you got to believe in yourself and you have to have the courage to try. I can't give that to you. That has to come from within. Okay. Now, here's the other caveat. I think I already touched on this. I don't know if I'm going to need to really go further into it, but There are other foods that may cause people trouble, and that's why I'm giving you a symptom tracker at the end of today, okay? So things like nightshades, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, right? Nuts and seeds may be a problem for people, especially if you have a coexisting condition like diverticulitis or something, right? Eggs. Eggs may be a problem for people. You may try organic pastured eggs and still feel bad, right? But here's the thing, chickens eat corn, wheat, and soy. So it could be having something to do with the fact that the chickens eat that as well, you know? You may need to take out eggs for a period of time. And that's something else that I didn't put in my presentation, but I want you to realize majority of food sensitivities are actually a sign that you have an underlying gut issue that needs to be healed. Okay, we're going to talk about the gut at the end. Thank you very much. When can you get a leaky gut test? What is it called? During the first month of my elimination diet, Hashimoto's increased. Do you know what that? Sure, could have been stress. It could be anything. If your antibodies went up during your elimination diet, my first clue is probably stress. How did you feel about your elimination diet? That would be my question. What else was going on in your life? Did you get a virus? Did you get some bacteria? Did you get, did you get food poisoning and now you had a bacterial infection in your gut? I don't have enough information to diagnose you, but that's something that you can get at the end at 7 p.m. I'm going to actually give away a free 1 hour autoimmune consultation. That would be perfect for you. So you want to be choosing that gift at the end, okay? Where can you get a leaky gut test? I would say GI Map is the best. It's the gold standard. It's about $600 though, but it will tell you, do you have H. pylori? Do you have leaky gut? Do you have zonulin upregulation? Do you have underlying co-infections in the gut? It's going to tell you everything. We just did a Viome test inside of the autoimmune Edible RX for our monthly challenge last month, because each month inside the course we go beyond food to teach you all these different things you need to do to heal. And last month was all about gut health. But I got to tell you, as I'm getting my results back, this is my first time doing it. I don't recommend it. The test that I normally do and that I recommend is called Thorn. It's like $200. They always do discounts around Christmas, but they're actually fixing a couple things in their gut health test right now. It's not available on their website. Thorn is the one that I love because it'll tell you, do you have parasites? Do you have H. pylori? Do you have leaky gut? Do you have candida yeast overgrowth? It'll tell you all these things. Plus it'll tell you which bacteria you have an overgrowth of, which you don't have enough of, and all the things you need to do, what foods to eat and avoid, which supplements to take. I love that test. It's not available right now. So write that down and maybe check their website and see when it comes back. But some folks are sensitive to nightshades, nuts and seeds, eggs, and grains. You'll have to figure out what you're sensitive to, okay? But in my opinion, taking out all of these things all at once can cause you so much stress. That's why I said to Shar, if taking everything out all at once in the beginning and trying to over restrict yourself to a very small limited amount of foods. That's why AIP came out with the AIP modified. It causes folks so much stress, and stress causes inflammation, and stress tears holes in the gut lining. So you're making a bad problem already worse. Do you see what I say what I mean by that? Or do you see what I mean when I say that? That's why I teach a more approachable way, because stressing about what to eat and what not to eat, trying to be perfect overnight, or just feeling like I can't eat anything, it literally causes more damage than good. Okay. You might as well just eat the damn ho-ho at that point, right? Now I'm going to say something very radical here, and I want you to listen to me. Okay. Please hear me out. Okay. I don't want you to walk away from today's workshop thinking you got to memorize this list of foods in order to start cooking and eating flare free. Okay. You just got to start cooking. Follow my recipes. There's tons of them on my, not that many, but there's hundreds of recipes on my blog. There's over 400 inside of my program, right? Things like tacos, pizza, pasta, lasagna, enchiladas, shepherd's pie, pot pie, stir fry, curry. We go anything. I mean, we have ethnic recipes, we have American recipes. You name it, it's in there. There's over 400 recipes, okay? So if you can follow a recipe, you can eat flare free. And the benefit of following my recipes is you don't have to guess which ingredients are going to actually taste good, right? For example, like I personally never recommend anybody buy like a dairy-free sour cream because I don't love the taste of it and it's not something I would use for my clients. And I'm in the business of making food that people like and they're willing to pay a lot of money for, right? Because I'm not cheap. Okay, so instead, I would switch to using a plain unsweetened dairy-free yogurt like Cocoa June or Kite Hill instead for any recipe that called for sour cream, even if it was a garnish on a taco or an enchilada. Okay, that's just one simple example, but there are many others. Okay, so that's why I say just follow my recipes. Don't stress about what can I eat, what can I not eat. Later down the line, after you practice and try and start shopping according to my recipes and you get a feel for the ingredients, then you can start going, okay, I love this recipe. I grew up eating it. Now I'm going to swap in the dairy-free yogurt, the ghee, the grass-fed beef, and the avocado oil, and I'm going to make it myself. Okay? Do you see how that's a much more relaxed way to start? So please, I promise, don't focus too much on the ingredients. Just start cooking. Go to my blog, search a recipe, or click the down arrow for the categories and go to dinner recipes or go to desserts and try something, okay? If you have questions or something doesn't come out right, don't be shy. Just ask me. I'll help you. Now, I've been cooking this way since 2015 and I promise I'm like I said earlier, I'm in the business of making food that doesn't taste healthy. So trust me when I say this, okay? And if you don't believe me, you can take one of my clients, for example, Tyler Hubbard from Florida Georgia Line. I don't know, maybe people internationally might not know who this person is, but here in Nashville, Tennessee, he's a country music star. And he said, if you don't like Laura's food, you don't have taste buds. And guess what? I cooked Flare Free for him for 2.5 years. Okay. So at the end of the day, I want you guys to keep it simple. I want you to eat real food, single ingredient foods, foods that don't come in a package, right? And if they come in a package, flip it over and read the ingredient list. And it should be things that you can easily identify in nature, things you can pronounce, things you know what they are, right? Olive oil, salt, strawberries, quinoa, you know, reach for organic if you can find it and afford it, right? Now, here's the thing. If you already eat that way, like I did when I first started my healing journey, now it's time to start focusing on eating gluten, dairy, and sugar-free as well. Okay, I would also take out soy if you have Hashimoto's because soy prevents the body from producing hormones, thyroid hormones. So you want to consider that. Now, if you're already eating gluten, dairy, sugar-free and you still don't feel any better, remember what I said in week 1, right? Gluten-free doesn't automatically mean anti-inflammatory, right? The best tasting gluten-free products are usually made with white rice flour and corn, which are highly inflammatory. Not to mention they're going to have seed oils, probably going to have sugar. The list goes on and on, right? So try to focus on lower glycemic options instead, because like I said earlier, blood sugar spikes cause inflammation, right? So reach for a grain-free almond tortilla instead of a corn tortilla or a gluten-free flour tortilla. That's just an example. Reach for a whole grain pasta, like a brown rice pasta, instead of corn-filled gluten-free pastas. Does that make sense? This brand here, both of these brands, actually, the brand on the left, Siete, the owner actually has autoimmunity. And that's why she started this, because she noticed that she felt like crap when she ate grains. So everything they make is grain free. The person on the right, they make organic brown rice pasta in Italy, cut on bronze dies, slow dried the old fashioned way. So it's easier to digest. And you can cook it al dente, it doesn't turn to mush. You can even freeze it and reuse it later. And it's made with organic brown rice that they actually third-party test for arsenic because all rice has arsenic. Now, brown rice has more arsenic than white rice, but white rice is more inflammatory than brown. White rice is more high glycemic than brown. So it's kind of like it's difficult. They're both kind of at the end of the day, maybe it's a wash, right? I usually reach for brown rice. That's personally what I feel best with. So you can play around with it and see for yourself. What's your thought on spices like cumin, coriander, and their powders? Do they cause problems as well? If it's a spice, I buy it in organic if it's on the dirty dozen list. So, for example, paprika, chili powder, um, cayenne pepper. Otherwise, I always buy, when you flip the spice around, it has to just say the spice. Nothing with added salt, nothing with added sugar. Okay, so it should just be cumin powder, turmeric powder, ginger powder, garlic powder. Should have one ingredient on the back. I think spices and dried herbs are one of the most healing things you could eat. Turmeric, ginger, and oregano are going to be the most anti-inflammatory. Put that in the chat for you guys. Now, on my website, I actually have an anti-inflammatory spice blend that you can make at home. The recipe has been published in Edible Nashville, and I put that on everything. It's like my flare-free all-purpose spice blend. Does that make sense? It's mostly turmeric and garlic, but you can put it's mostly turmeric, garlic, and oregano, but you can even put a little bit of ginger in there, a little bit so you don't taste it. It's fantastic. I use it on everything. Potatoes, pasta, pizza. I mean, everything, especially if it's something like saucy that you can sneak it in and you won't see it. Excellent. Basmati rice is white rice. It's going to be inflammatory. So white rice is a refined grain. So brown rice, black rice, wild rice would be better. I put that in the chat for you guys. Great question. Now, here's the caveat though. If brown rice, wild rice, and black rice take about 45 minutes to cook, if you are a highly busy individual and you don't have 45 minutes to cook rice and it's causing you stress, eat the white rice. You're going to see white rice in some of my recipes, especially my quick cooking recipes, my 30-minute recipes, my 5-ingredient recipes, okay? My meal prep, my sheet tray broiler meal prep classes, I use white rice because we're trying to cook as quickly as humanly possible, okay? So take, what's the word I'm looking for? Take authority and make a decision that works best for you, okay? Now, at the end of the day, practicing the 80-20 rule so that you can indulge in your personal food triggers carefully on occasion, not every freaking day, is the secret to achieving what I mentioned earlier, autoimmune food freedom, okay? Now, autoimmune food freedom is the freedom that you will feel when you start to automatically choose to eat foods that agree with you more often than not. Okay. Not because you're supposed to or because your doctor told you to, but because you want to. Because you know that nothing tastes as good as flare free feels, that food can only be medicine if you use it consistently, and that you deserve to live a long, happy, healthy, vibrant, pain free life. And eating according to your biology can help you do just that. So, anybody earlier who light bulb went off, I realized corn was causing me issues. I never knew it could cause molecular mimicry. You need to know that in order to eat for your biology, you got to keep corn in the 20%. And thoughts on jasmine rice. Any jasmine rice, basmati rice, sushi rice, white rice, those are all white rices. What it is, honey, is that the brown grain on the outside, the hull, has been removed. Okay, so what's left is a polished grain, and that's what causes it to be inflammatory. We want to eat the whole grain. Wild rice, black rice, brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, millet, those are your options. I find basmati is more gut friendly than the other rices for me. It could be. Okay. Now this is how achieving autoimmune food freedom is how you make this a lifestyle change, not another diet that you give up on. Okay. Now I will tell you, it took me 7 years to achieve. My goal for everybody who comes into my program is 1 to 2 years. The reason it took me 7 years, I kept self-sabotaging this and that, is because I didn't have a coach to help me. Right? I didn't know all this stuff. I didn't develop the term autoimmune food freedom. I've developed this over the years. In the last 6 years, I've been working exclusively with people with autoimmunity, okay? Now, once this becomes a lifestyle, that's where the magic happens. You start to feel less inflammation. Your symptoms start to subside. You have less joint pain. Your digestion improves, fewer migraines, less rashes. Your energy goes up. You're sleeping better. You see? And you may even be able to put your condition into remission. You may be able to start getting off of some of your medications if that's something you want to do and something you can do. Not everybody can do that, right? If you're on a thyroid medication you have to take forever, that's, it is what it is. But I want to show you one of my students who came into my program after last year's summer workshop. She said, I did my blood work today after 6 weeks on the program, 2 years of being in the red on cholesterol and triglycerides, and yesterday everything was all in the normal range. This is the second person I told you about who wasn't trying to change their triglycerides and cholesterol. They wanted to come in because they want to feel better with their autoimmune body. But look at what happened, right? And this is after 6 freaking weeks. That's insane. Now, I will tell you, this student actually was living in a camper van because her house was being renovated. And she still put in the work. Not because she was any different than anybody else, but because she had the support, she had somebody poking and prodding her every week to do it, and she had prizes dangling over her head every month to motivate herself to do it, right? Okay, she said, I'm backing down on my thyroid medication some, and we're also monitoring my blood pressure to see if I can get off that as well. Things are improving and inflammation is going down. I think so many people don't realize the cascading effect that can happen when you take a chance on yourself. Take a chance, make a commitment, freaking stick to it as best as you can, and get help along the way so you can actually do it. Your life is gonna change, and you don't even know how much. Do you know, like, how much money she saves now getting off of these medications and not having to go to the doctor all the time and being in the, pharmacy all the time? What a weight off of her shoulders, you know what I'm saying? Not to mention the how do you know what happens when you get off the medications? Your gut starts to heal. That has a cascading effect on everything else as well, right? I would love to be medication free. Me too. I know. I know. This makes me so emotional because you guys deserve it and you can get there. You just need the help, you know? So later she said, I did my blood work and I had a checkup with my doctor, and her words were, keep doing what you're doing. Everything looks fantastic. She even lowered her A1C. Now, the A1C is the measure of over the span of 3 months where your blood sugar is at. Again, she did not come into my program saying, I have high triglycerides, high cholesterol. I want to get off my medication. I want to lower my A1C. She didn't say any of that stuff. She said, I want to feel better. I know I need to eat better, but I don't know how to do it on my own. I need help. Okay. And guess what? She said, well, let me go to the doctor and see if any of this is working because I'm feeling better. And look at what happened. Her doctor said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You know, doctors don't like saying that. You know, they don't like saying that. So all of this and getting off your medication, lowering your A1C, getting your blood work in the, in the green for the first time in 5 years. This is great. But the best part is what happens as a result of these health improvements. You get to start doing the things you love with the people you love again, right? You can pick up a hobby if you want to. You can go back to playing pickleball again or playing tennis again because your joints aren't all locked up, or joining a strength training class or a yoga class, right? You can start working on your personal and professional goals again if that's something you want to do. You're physically able to do things you haven't done in years. You have the stamina and strength to do things that have been literally a what's the word I'm looking for? A burden to you, right? Like maybe taking care of your aging parents when you don't even feel good, right? To get them up and down to the bathroom or things like that, right? Getting up and down on the floor with your grandkids, carrying your toddler around for hours, or even coming out of retirement. Walk is like being around long enough to see your kids and your grandkids walk down the aisle, right? I wanna tell you about Lori because this woman, she impressed me so much because I will tell you, when she first came into the summer workshop, okay? Oh, sorry, my laptop's about to die, I gotta plug it in. She came into the summer workshop and she said, "I started feeling great after the first 2 weeks, but guess what happened, guys? Same thing that happens to all of us. She actually fell off track. Things got busy, she stopped doing it, okay? She came back in the fall and she said, I'm feeling so much better now that I got back on track and I'm eating the right things. Okay. She came back weeks later. She said, I got my blood work done and everything is in the normal range. You keep seeing this theme with all of my students. Okay. And then later she said, I was able to even take my granddaughter to the mall and we walked around for 4 hours. And this is something she told me on the side. I haven't been able to do that ever. I normally have to stop every 20 minutes. And she felt such a sense of pride that she wasn't dragging her granddaughter down, you know? "Grandma's gotta sit. I gotta sit. I gotta sit." They walked around for 4 hours straight. So amazing. Just a couple months ago, she said, "When I first started this program, I felt like if I didn't do something soon, I would not be around much longer." When she came to me, she could barely use her hands. That's how bad her rheumatoid arthritis was, and she had struggled for years, okay? She said when they first started, her husband wasn't supportive of their journey, but now he's ready to start because he actually got a pre-diabetic diagnosis. So he's like, okay, I got to do this before I get diabetes. So now she's got her husband on board with eating healthy with her. And now she's walking after her meals, right? She didn't change everything overnight. We actually did a metabolism challenge inside the group one of the months. And so one of the things we challenged ourselves to do was to take a 5-minute walk after every meal. And now she's walking with her husband and her grandson, who is also on the same journey and eating healthy with them now that he's living with them during college. She said, not only has this program helped me, but it's helping my family. That's the cascading effect I'm talking about, right? We're not just doing this to get off our medication. That's a bonus. We want to feel better. Like I wanted to be able to walk barefoot at the beach on Myrtle Beach with my kid. I want to be able to walk around all day long and exploring the town and not feel like I can't wait till I can sit down again. I remember in 2020, I was standing in line to vote, and it was the most excruciating 2 hours of my life because there was nowhere to sit. And all I kept thinking about was if I could just sit down on the floor right now and look like a crazy person, I would do it. Nobody should be in so much pain that even just standing hurts. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not normal. This is not a normal part of aging, right? We can fix this. Okay, we can fix this. Let's talk about Shelly again. I told you last week about how she came in and she did the mindset work and then she was able to impress her friends. She lost 11 pounds. She joined a strength training class. She went to her 6-month checkup, her triglycerides, her fatty liver, all better, right? But guess what? That's all good and well, but she said, "I'm 74 and I've never felt this good. I haven't felt this good in a long time. I even started a little part-time job at a juice store." So she pulled her butt out of retirement because she was feeling so good. She didn't know what to do with herself. And now, last week, she told me, and this has been something that has been happening over the months. I've been monitoring her progress and we share our weekly wins every week. And she told me my win is that I went out to eat. I made a lot of great choices. And I said, how did you feel about that? Because she was out with her sister. And so she had family in town because she actually lives by the beach. So fancy. But she said, I felt content and really proud of myself. Right. And I told her, I think you are very close, if not already there, to achieving autoimmune food freedom. And she said, I think you're right. So we're very close if she's not already there, because when you get to a point where you can go out to a restaurant and make decisions that feel good to you and you don't feel sad, depressed, left out, angry, bitter, that's when you've done the work and you've achieved autoimmune food freedom. Does that make sense? Okay. I want to give you an example of what it looks like to do flare-free math because this is important. Okay, so you can try this for yourself. And I'm sorry, this today's workshop is a little bit longer. We're going over, but I have so much to share with you. I can't help it. Okay. Here's how you do flare-free math. You start backwards. Okay. You ask yourself, do I want a dessert? Okay. If the answer is yes, get yourself a no sugar added cocktail or a mocktail or an unsweetened tea or a club soda or a water, right? Don't start with a beer or a sugar filled margarita or a sugar filled cocktail or a soda, right? Then go easy on your biggest trigger foods, right? For me, sugar is one, gluten is next, dairy is third, and then corn is fourth. Those are my biggest triggers, okay? So I have to eat, number one, mostly sugar free. I have to eat. I choose to eat gluten free, except for soy sauce at Asian restaurants on occasion. And I have to eat mostly dairy free. I can have some dairy here and there, and corn free, right? So go easy on your biggest trigger foods for the rest of the meal because look, dessert's always going to be highly inflammatory. It's going to spike your blood sugar. It's full of sugar, right? It's full of gluten. It's full of dairy. It's got the three most, triggering foods for autoimmunity. And then keep your blood sugar in mind, right? Choose a high protein, low carb, vegetable rich dish, right? Like a steak with broccoli and mashed potatoes. Great option versus getting a plate of pasta. If you're going to have cake for dessert, don't get a plate of pasta for your entree and then a soda or a sugar-filled cocktail. You are going to end up in a flare. Okay? You want to avoid a beer, number 1, or a sugar-filled drink to start. You don't want to load up on empty carbs, refried grains, fried foods, high glycemic foods, gluten, dairy, sugar-filled foods. Going out to eat before autoimmunity is kind of a free-for-all, right? Once you start to identify that food is making you feel bad, you have to be conscious of how you indulge if you want to do this without flaring, okay? And then lastly, you want to avoid finishing with a big gluten-free, gluten, dairy, sugar-filled dessert, okay? Because can you see how that would instantly land you in a flare? Having a lot of all the things that cause inflammation in one sitting. I had to learn this the hard way, okay? That's not why I developed the term flare-free math. I had to learn this, and now I teach it to you. I didn't just hear about this on the internet somewhere. I created this out of my own personal experience, okay? The last time I had a food-driven flare-up was 2021, and I went out to dinner with my daughter. I ordered a classic margarita, which is full of sugar and alcohol, obviously, tacos that were on corn tortillas, and then we shared a banana bread a la mode at the end, which had gluten, dairy, and sugar, obviously. And let me tell you something, when I got up from the restaurant table, I could barely walk back to my car. Now, this was right after I had already, I told you earlier, 10 days of eating flare free 3 times a day every day, and I was barefoot in my kitchen again. So this wasn't long after that. So I wasn't fully healed, and I indulged, and I went balls to the wall, and I went cuckoo crazy, and I felt it. That's why I say some people need to eat 90-10 at first for a while. Get to feeling better, then you can come back to 80-20. It all depends. If you try to do flare-free math and every time you flare, pull back a little bit. You're being a little too generous with your math, right? Let's be a little bit stricter there, right? And now I use flare-free math every time I dine out, and I've never had a flare up, okay? So today I'll give you an example of what I would order at a Mexican restaurant. I'm going to get a club soda, an unsweetened tea or a glass of wine, or maybe a skinny margarita with no agave. So it's just tequila, ice, lime juice, and they put orange juice. I'm going to get a guacamole salad. So I'm eating something that's not going to spike my blood sugar first, right? Instead of eating a whole bunch of chips and queso. And then I'm going to get my tacos on corn tortillas. So now I've had the alcohol, I've had the corn. That's it. And then the seed oils that they cook in. You see? You should mention about MSG in foods. Definitely toxic to most individuals. I actually don't know anything about MSG. I'd have to research it. It's not something I'm trained in, so I don't know. I've never heard that deathly toxic to most individuals. I used to live in South Korea, and MSG is in everything, and I didn't die, so I don't know. I'd have to research that. But thank you. I will look into it. Um, so you may be thinking, all right, but I always crave my flare foods, right? Like somebody said earlier, bread's really hard to give up. I know, okay? I understand. This is a process. That's why I say I don't want you to cut out everything all at once, right? That's really hard to do and it's hard to stick with, right? But just like mindset work and just like food chaining, work up to it, right? Let's slowly start to move away from the highly addictive foods like ultra processed foods, refined foods, gluten and dairy and sugar. These are all highly addictive foods. It's not your fault that you crave them. You're actually literally biologically addicted to them because that's how they are. They're addictive foods, okay? I'm going to show you some studies here that will tell you I'm not making this up. Gluten and dairy actually have proteins in them that actually cause a euphoric effect when you eat them. No wonder it's depressing when we have to give them up, right? That's why when a lot of people go on vacation, they say, I can eat gluten and dairy and I have no problems. No wonder why, because look, you're already in a euphoric state. Now you're eating euphoric foods. But yeah, they actually have things in them that can be just as addictive to hard drugs to your brain. Okay. Same thing with sugar. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine. Okay. Same thing with processed foods. They actually put things in the food, flavor enhancers, all of these things that make them biologically addictive so that we always are forever customers to the food companies. Okay. You don't have to take my word for it. You can do your own research. This is out there. But guess what? Consistency isn't just what you do every day, it's what you do every time you fall off track as well, right? You don't have to be perfect overnight. You don't have to succeed at this and like start day one and never freaking eat anything gluten, dairy, sugar. Never. Come on. That type of rigid, perfectionism is actually part of why we end up with autoimmunity in the first place, right? Always trying to be perfect. This type of stress and always trying to do the right thing and being perfect, it actually does the same thing as worrying too much about the food. It causes chronic inflammation. It puts a large amount of stress on your nervous system. It can tear holes in the gut lining. And guess what? Leaky gut is a precursor for autoimmunity, right? And nervous system dysregulation leads to immune system dysfunction. The whole body is connected. That's why conventional medicine is so frustrating, because if you have a digestive issue, they're going to send you to a GI doctor, right? They're never going to look at your nervous system, figure out why is your digestive system overreacting in the first place. That's why functional medicine is so much better at helping folks with chronic illnesses get to the root cause of why they feel bad. I genuinely feel like I'm very addicted to sugar. I've been switching refined sugars for honey and maple syrup, and I know it's still triggering me. How do I give it up? You have to do the mindset work, number one. Number two, I would switch to eating, making whatever it is that you want with the monk fruit sweetener and the stevia. They're not addictive. They're low glycemic. They're not going to spike your blood sugar. Monk fruit tastes exactly like sugar. So now, in addition to the fact that they're not going to spike your blood sugar, in addition to the fact that they're not biologically addictive, you also don't have the stress of feeling, I have a problem. I have a sugar addiction, right? There's no stress. There's no guilt. It's just, I want something sweet. I'm going to have something sweet. It's okay to indulge in a craving, guys. In addition to that, when you heal your gut, a lot of these cravings will go away, because let me tell you, there's something called candida yeast overgrowth, or just yeast overgrowth. It doesn't have to be candida. There's all sorts. Yeast feeds off sugar, and sugar feeds yeast. So when you have a yeast overgrowth in your gut, which, like I said, don't trust me, get a gut health test. They'll tell you. um, it's very common because high carb diets, high sugar diets, alcohol, living in a moldy building all feed yeast, and that can, grow pretty profusely in the gut. So a lot of times, in addition to the fact that like sugar is just addictive, you may have an underlying gut issue that's causing your body to crave sugar. Yeast feeds off sugar, and it tells, give me more sugar, give me more sugar. So if you can heal your gut, you should be able to heal your sugar cravings. Does that make sense? So trust me when I say, guys, take it one day at a time, take it one meal at a time, hell, take it one damn bite at a time, right? You really do not have to change everything overnight if that's causing you a lot of stress. That's the opposite of productive, okay? Now, if you're an individual who's like, I've been doing this for years, I'm ready to go, I'm excited to take all the inflammatory stuff out, I'm up for the challenge, and that's not causing you stress, then do that, right? As long as it's not going to cause you more harm than good, you get to choose how you approach it, okay? Now, like I was getting at before, I kind of cut myself off. Instead of, feeling like, oh, I don't know why I can't stop this addiction, just make the food you want to eat with the stevia, with the monk fruit, and just eat it and be happy and love your life and relax, okay? That's how you no longer have to deprive yourself. You don't have to shame yourself. You don't have to feel guilt for eating. My daughter yesterday, she made my flare-free cookies, but then she put marshmallows, graham crackers, and some Hershey's chocolate on top, and made like a s'more like cookie bar thing. Not 100% flare-free, but it's like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, enjoy your life. Relax. Do the best you can and enjoy your life and relax, okay? So if you like banana bread, make your own flare-free banana bread. Use some almond flour, use avocado oil instead of vegetable oil, use stevia or monk fruit instead of sugar. Reach for organic pastured eggs or just pastured eggs, right? If you love potato chips once in a while and that's your thing and you want to have a potato chip, buy the potato chips that are fried in avocado oil. Siete and Boulder Canyon both have options here in the US. Can't go a day without drinking soda? Eventually you want to fix that, right? But slowly try a stevia sweetened soda like Zevia, or better yet, try an Olipop. Okay, it's a no sugar added soda, but it actually has a bunch of prebiotic fibers in it as well. So it's got like Jerusalem artichoke, it's got cassava flour, it's got like 9 grams of fiber per can. And I love the old fashioned Coca-Cola. It tastes like Coke to me. I love it. And this is a big and, okay? You kind of have to overindulge in your trigger foods in order to figure out how much of these foods can I have in one sitting in order to not flare, right? I had to have that banana, what's it called? Banana bread a la mode in order to know I can't have a sugar-filled margarita, corn tacos, and then a gluten, dairy, sugar-filled dessert. I know that now. So you kind of have to do the hard work and flair to figure this out. And also that gives you motivation to stay the course, right? And remember, flaring is not failing, okay? Flares are just information, it's data. Write it down. This is what happened last time I had a flare. Now I know I'm going to back off a little bit. I might have less next time, and I'm going to see, is that enough or do I need to have even less, right? Plus it gives you motivation to try better, right? Now I want to share with you a testimony from Stephanie inside my course. She just sent this week. Last week, she ended up in a flare. She had 2 donuts in one sitting, and it sent her to the urgent care. She ended up having a steroid shot for her rheumatoid arthritis because her back just completely flared up. And I told her, it happens. Okay. She's just coming off of a big move. She's got the stress of all of that. Stress, poor gut health, and then diet. You combine the 3, listen, honey, you're gonna flare if you overdo it. We got to be careful. I said, yeah, of course that could have absolutely been, but we're not just gonna blame it on the donut. You've been moving your house. That's a lot of stress on the body, on the emotional, on your, on your spirit, um, all the things. So I said, so I told her, I said, listen, it happened. Now we know. Let's write that down. Maybe next time you want a donut, let's try one, right? And so her weekly win was I'm learning more about my triggers and I'm getting serious about the 80-20 rule. Now, let me tell you something. She's been in my program for 2 years. This is why I tell you guys, this is a process. It takes time. Took me 7 years to get to the point where I no longer self-sabotage, right? She is very, very, very close to achieving autoimmune food freedom. Very close. I want to share with you a testimony from one of my students who is actually a pharmacist and she has Hashimoto's. She said, I feel free now, but I used to struggle with orthorexia and I was scared to deviate from safe foods or go out to eat for years. She used to carry all of her food with her in a cooler in the back of her car, and she always had snacks in her bag. She said, being able to enjoy dinners out now is incredible. I always cry over this client because I know her and she's a very type A personality, and she was very, very hard on herself, like to the point where she wouldn't even have a glass of red wine. And now she can go out with her boyfriend and have a glass of red wine once in a while and go out to restaurants and not worry about, oh, is everything cooked in seed oils and all the meat is factory farmed and yada, 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 right? She said, I'm so glad you show people that this is possible. And another one of my students who actually went to a cooking class in her building, and she said, not everything was gluten, dairy, sugar free, but I allowed myself to enjoy and I practiced the 80-20 rule. And I realized that I've come a long way in my becoming more healthy journey since joining this program. And that is a huge win. So I just dropped a whole bunch on you. Okay. I just dropped a whole bunch on you. Before we get to this question for 5 entries, I want to know, guys, how we feeling? Are we feeling stressed? Are we feeling excited? Are we feeling hopeful? Are we feeling like, I think I can do this? Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully, I didn't just dump way too much on you and you're overwhelmed. Motivated, yes. Excited and hopeful, yay. Feeling excited, oh, stressed but hopeful. Okay, Sarah, tell me why you're stressed, honey. Aw, I love it. I know this is a lot, but remember what I said. If you do one thing today, just go to my blog and search a recipe and try that. Because the more you cook by recipe, you see, okay, now each time you go to the grocery store, you're going to get used to which ingredients you need to buy, and it becomes easier. You got to start doing it. You got to start doing it. If we sit and think about ingredients for too long, we're not going to do it. This is helpful. Kitchen remodel starts next week. Yes! This is so much good food on the list. Yes, there is a lot of good food. Hopeful. Definitely motivated and excited. Looking forward with hope. Yay! Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, so I'm glad. All right, now I want to know for 5 bonus entries into the giveaway. A, B, C, or D. Put it in the chat. How are we going to approach this, guys? Are we going to take it slow and steady and start working up to eating more single ingredient whole foods? Things that don't come in a package, or when you flip the package around, it's only got one ingredient? Or B, are you like, I already eat single ingredient foods, but now I'm ready to start eating gluten, dairy, sugar free as well? Or maybe C, maybe you're already eating gluten-free, but you're not feeling any better, so you wanna start eating anti-inflammatory as well, switching to the almond flour, switching to the whole grain, gluten-free grains, right? Or D, I'm ready to start trying some recipes. Like, let's just get into it. Let's just start. Let's just start cooking. Thank you for your insight. Definitely a process that you have to adapt. Yes, exactly. B. Okay, we got B. Okay, ready to start eating gluten, dairy, sugar free. Yay! Shar says, I'm ready to start trying. Zion says, I'm ready to start eating gluten, dairy, sugar free. Yay! Bernice says, I'm ready for the recipes. Bring it on. Karen says, I've been eating gluten free. I'm going to try anti inflammatory. Yay! Okay, C and D. Okay. Sarah says, let's go with A. Very good. B and D. Oh, I like this combination. Yes, already eat single ingredients, but you're ready to start cooking. Okay, cool. Okay, see? This is perfect because this really highlights how individualized this is for everybody, okay? There is no one set diet for autoimmunity. There's no one set way to start changing your life, okay? I love this for you guys. I'm so excited. Yay! All right, last one. We're going to wrap it up here. I hope I can quickly get through this. I'm so sorry, guys. Last mistake, you spend all day in the kitchen. Okay, what that looks like, you're slaving away, making healthy meals for yourself, but comforting meals for everybody else. And because like planning and meal prepping is so overwhelming that you just can't bring yourself to do it. But guess what? Life gets busy like it always does. Cooking is the first thing to go to the wayside because you can pick something up from the drive-through, you can order Uber Eats, you can get something from the grocery store, right? Next thing you know, all your symptoms flood back in, and now you're in a vicious pain cycle and you have no hope for the future. You're like, you know what? I'm never going to figure this out, right? But here's the thing, using food as medicine never works long term if it takes up all your time and energy. Okay, you got to learn to cook and clean in half the time so you can actually fit this into your already busy life. Okay, now there are many different ways to batch cook so you can save time, and I teach you all of them inside my program. But the one I'm going to help you with today is the one that helped me when I was at my last rock bottom moment. Okay, and that's cooking quick and easy recipes on sheet trays in the broiler. Okay, now I know that sounds crazy, but this is this most easy, most stress-free way to do it without having to like buy a bunch of new equipment, right? We don't need an air fryer, we don't need a pressure cooker. Plus, an air fryer and a pressure cooker are pretty small. You can't really volume batch cook, whereas you can fit several sheet trays in an oven and make multiple meals all at once, okay? Plus, this is a very hands-off way to cook. I just shared a reel on my Instagram, YouTube, no, yeah, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. It's on all platforms. I just shared a video today. I actually made a chili mac on sheet trays in the broiler. So definitely go and check that out to see what I mean, okay? But because this is a very hands-off way to cook, while the broiler is cooking your food, you get to turn your back and work on the next recipe, package up your meals, clean the kitchen, right? So here's how you do it, okay? Get a pen and paper, write this down. Number one, you have to start with quick and easy recipes. So recipes that require 10 ingredients or less, and that can be cooked in 30 minutes or less. We're not doing chicken and dumplings. We're not making dumplings from scratch. I've had students that are in my program and they were like, yeah, I made dumplings today, but I ran out of steam halfway through, so I got to finish them tomorrow. I'm like, why are we making dumplings on meal prep day? That's not how I teach it, guys. We have to do quick and easy recipes because we're going to make multiple recipes in one sitting, right? Okay. Now, you don't have to do this right away as you start to learn to cook and you can work up to it. But folks that have been cooking for a long time, you may be able to do this. Bonus if they're recipes you already know by heart, so you don't have to stop and look down and read a recipe because that slows you down tremendously. And I'm telling you, as a meal prep chef, whenever my clients send me a recipe and go, hey, can you make this? It slows me down so much. I cook by feeling, and that's how I teach you how to cook inside my course because it's the quickest way to cook. Having to stop and look down and measure and read recipes, that's not a 30-minute recipe anymore. Now, add these time-saving hacks to make it even easier on yourself, okay? Number one, order your groceries online. Takes 10 to 15 minutes to do. Okay, now choose a delivery if you're ultra busy. It costs money, but trust me, you don't want to be shopping and cooking on the same day. You will give up. Halfway through, you're gonna be like, this is too hard. Take help from the grocery store, okay? Pre-chopped fruit and vegetables, frozen fruit and vegetables, clean, ready-made sauces. Like I'll put it in the chat. Primal Kitchen is my favorite one. They use like avocado oil for everything. No sugar added. They're like Whole 30 approved paleo, okay? That's going to help you tremendously. You do not want to be chopping everything from start to finish using farmer's market produce that's full of dirt and you have to scrub with the vegetable brush. Do that on a different day, not on meal prep day, guys. And I'm telling you, I'm a meal prep chef. I'm telling you, these are the industry secrets that nobody's telling you, okay? Then spread components of the dish that you know you can cook on sheet trays in the broiler and let the broiler do cooking for you. Because look, when it's spread out, it cooks evenly, it cooks quickly. You don't have to stand there and turn and all that kind of stuff, right? You can spread ingredients for a stir fry out onto a sheet tray, let the broiler cook it, maybe mix it once or twice, and it's done. We're not standing, stir frying, and you know how pans are, right? If you don't have a big giant pan, you have to cook things in batches. We don't do that when we're cooking on broilers or on sheet trays in the broiler. Everything gets spread out. It's one batch. Okay. Now this works really well for things like ground meat, ground sausages or sausage links, vegetables, thin cut steaks, chicken, fish, etc. So that way, while the broiler's cooking these things that cook well in the broiler, you can cook things that you can't cook in the broiler, like boiling pasta or boiling potatoes for like mashed potatoes or potato salad, right? Steaming your grains, making a sauce, chopping whatever can't, come pre-chopped, right? Making cold salads or cold side dishes, making a dessert, right? So I want to demonstrate this with a simple recipe, okay? And I have like a video and a recipe for this on my blog. You can search tacos or something like that. So let's make let's make tacos with Mexican rice. Easy peasy, right? First thing up, start your rice. Then spread your ground beef with the taco seasonings on a sheet tray and cook that in the broiler. Now, while that's cooking, and you're going to mix it up, maybe once or twice. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But while that's cooking, turn your back and start working on your toppings, right? You want avocado, you want cilantro, onions. What do you want? Make your taco toppings, chopping up a tomato, whatever, chopping some lettuce, right? Then you're going to get in there. You're going to break up any big chunks of taco meat as needed. You're going to taste it. You're going to adjust. Does it need more salt? Does it need more cumin? Does it need more chili powder, right? Give it a good mix. Put it back in, cook it until it's done. And then maybe you're cooking those siete almond flour tortillas on the cooktop, or you're getting, taking them out of the package. Siete has grain-free hard shell tacos. They look exactly like Taco Bell taco shells, but they're made from cassava. What are your thoughts on bone broth? What's the relation between histamine and RA or fibromyalgia? Histamine is very individual. It depends on the person. Bone broth is not recommended, nor is leftovers. And leftovers or meal prep. Sorry, I'm going to write it in the chat so you have it too. Or meal prep is not recommended. But I don't think histamine causes RA or fibromyalgia. I think it's a co-condition. But if you have histamine, you need to follow a histamine specialist and do everything that they tell you to do. That's not my specialty. I know where you're recording. Can you send a link so I can share with someone? Yes, absolutely. So guys, the link is on my website. This is the link to the replay. Chef Laura Rodriguez. Let me put it in here. Rodriguez.com. Oh my gosh, can't spell my name. Webinar. Here we go. That's the link. It's also on my YouTube at Chef Laura Rodriguez. Follow me on YouTube, guys. Histamine depends on, that was me. That was my response. Yeah, histamine depends on the person. It's not a cause of autoimmunity. It's something that happens alongside of. You need to follow somebody that specializes in histamine because it's very intricate and there's lots of different things you can do for that. So you can see in all of 15 to 20 minutes, because it only takes about 10 minutes to cook ground meat on a sheet tray in the broiler, by the way. And there's no standing over the stove, breaking everything up and splashing fat everywhere. Okay. Now you have a super easy, quick dinner or lunch that the whole family wants. They get to choose what toppings they put on. We've got almond flour tortillas that taste just like regular flour tortillas. You've got crunchy shell tacos if you want. If you want to take it another level, what I usually do in my family is we eat lettuce wrap tacos. That's later on down the line. Okay. You're welcome, Sherry. So I want to show you guys, these are some of the meals that we make inside my course, okay? Everybody who joins gets an instant lifetime access to my 6-week self-paced meal prep course that will teach you how to make breakfast, lunch, 2 dinners, and dessert for a family of 4 in 3 hours or less, and that includes setup and cleanup. So the cooking time is 2 hours or less, which is insane. And I want to show you one of my students. She just sent this to me yesterday. I posted it on Instagram. She showed me an old recipe we cooked together inside the course. It's sheet tray ground beef rice noodle stir fry. So she's got veggies from her garden, plus some pre-chopped veggies, some grass-fed beef, cooked on a sheet tray in the broiler. And look at how delicious it looks over here, guys. So she made some rice noodles while the broiler was doing the cooking. And you can see that recipe comes together in 15, 20 minutes. So I want to tell you about Debbie, who came into my program and she hated cooking. She's like, I hate cooking. This is terrible. It's the bane of my existence. But the way that I teach it is so easy. There's so little chopping and it's so step by step. Anybody can do it. So beginners are welcome. And 100% of my students who come into my course, they say at the end they love sheet tray cooking. They don't hate meal prep anymore. They don't hate cooking. So it is very transformative. She said, it's great to have meals in the refrigerator done and waiting for me. Meal prep has changed my attitude about food prep and cooking. I love broiler sheet tray cooking. All right, so I know you're probably thinking like, Chef Laura, you just did a whole, okay, what's going on here? Let's just quickly recap. You're here. You want to be here. Calm Cali. Remember, like we talked about, you know now that following my epic method can make that happen, right? With some hard work, a whole lot of consistency, and the right coaching and accountability, you can get there, okay? But let me guess, you probably have some questions. You're like, how can I meal plan and prep meals that my whole family will actually eat without spending all my free time and energy on this, right? How can I turn my family's favorite meals into flare-free broiler sheet tray meals so I can cook and clean in half the time? How do I figure out which foods actually trigger me so I can eat out once in a while without paying for it for days, right? And the biggest question of all, how do I feel like myself again without giving up all the foods that I love, right? Well, that's exactly why I created my course and coaching program. And so there's really 2 paths that you can take from here. You can take everything I learned today, you learned today and last week. I taught you guys a lot, and I hope you took notes, okay? You can go home. You can piece it all together for yourself, okay? And hope, fingers crossed, this time it actually sticks, okay? But if you need to start over again in a few weeks because you fell off track because life got super busy again and there's nobody there to help you hold you accountable, that's part of it, right? That's one path you can take. Or you can join my course and coaching program, okay? And this is though it's I can help you every step of the way so you can actually make this a lifestyle change that sticks, okay? Because the truth is, guys, you don't need more information. Information is good, but I can teach you everything and you can still feel like, okay, but how do I do it, right? And I see this time and time again. People come into my membership. I used to have a meal plan membership and they would not cook the recipes or show up for the cooking classes, right? Or like the personal chef client I had who literally was eating drive-through takeout on the way home from work instead of going home and eating the meals I made for her, right? What you need is a simple custom plan that fits into your busy life. You need accountability support to help you make it actually happen, right? You need something to motivate you to help you hold yourself accountable when I can't be there for you. I can't cook for you. I can't put the food in your mouth, right? And you need a community of other people who are going through the same thing you're going through to turn to for encouragement, inspiration, motivation, etc. Okay. Because remember, food only works as medicine if you use it consistently. Okay. And that's why I created my program. Okay. It's 52 weeks of live group coaching, plus accountability support, plus monthly prize giveaways to motivate you to hold yourself accountable so you can finally lessen inflammation, reverse autoimmune symptoms, and get your damn life back, okay? Without giving up all your favorite foods or spending all day in the kitchen, okay? Now, I want to tell you, this is not a typical coaching program. Okay. It's not another like show up to a live Zoom for an hour every week in order to get the coaching kind of program. And then you have to implement everything after that, right? I know you're busy. Okay. So that's why every week I deliver two short, sweet, and to the point, easy to digest coaching topics to teach you all this stuff so that you can work on implementing, right? So think things like infographics, feed posts, Google Docs, voice notes, quick videos. Okay. Plus, you get accountability prompts and monthly prizes so that you can make it happen, okay? Now, I want to give you a quick overview so you can see how it actually comes into practice, okay? On Tuesdays, I teach you one small part of my four-part epic method every week, okay? Then on Wednesdays, we celebrate our wins, and that's where you get to enter into our monthly giveaway for a free prize. Then on Fridays, we go beyond food to talk about all the coaching topics, all the things you need to do to go beyond food to make this actually work. Like we talked about gut health, right? And nervous system. And then on Sunday, it's actually where I prompt you, I hold you accountable on the cooking portion of it. So I basically say, get into the course, check out the recipes, get into your Pinterest boards, check out your recipes, open your cookbooks, make a plan. What are you going to cook this week, right? That's one way I can help hold you accountable to actually do it, okay? But I also offer you another entry into the monthly giveaway by dangling another prize over your head so that you can hold yourself accountable to actually cook. Because it's one thing to make a plan, it's another thing to order the groceries and actually cook, right? So when you post a picture in our group, like you see our students have here, when you post a picture of what you made, you actually get a bonus entry into the giveaway. Now, right now, I'm giving away $25 grocery gift cards every month, but that will change at the end of the year. It's going to go to other prizes because I'm moving abroad. Okay. So by the end of 16 weeks, you will have learned everything that I teach inside of the self-paced portion of my course, which is there. So if you're the type of person who's like, I've been eating flare free for 12 months and I'm not any better, I really need to like do this a different way. You can come in and you can binge all the content, right? But if you're somebody who gets easily overwhelmed and you just want small, little actionable baby steps, I deliver that inside the coaching portion, right? But all the content is here if you want it. Okay. By the end of 16 weeks, without ever having to open any of these modules and watch the videos and take notes, you would have learned everything that I teach inside my self-paced course. Okay. Because look, I've taken online courses myself. I know how it is, right? You get 52 different 1 hour videos you're supposed to read, and then you have to go back and implement everything and take notes. It's like nobody has time for that. So, what happens is these courses collect dust in your inbox and you never do them. And I do not want that for you. Okay. We even have little free monthly challenges at the end of every month. So you can put these beyond food coachings into practice. Like last month for the gut health, we did a fermented foods challenge. We're just every day for the weekend. Or this was actually 7 day challenge because this was a little bit of a challenge, but normally it's just a Saturday and Sunday challenge. And it's usually always things you can do for free. Like I said earlier, the metabolism challenge, we challenged ourselves to walk for 5 minutes after every meal. But this one was a fermented food challenge. We had to eat 1 to 2 tablespoons of fermented food a day, which is not hard. Because look, food is foundational, right? It's where we start. Because no supplement stack, no meditation, program or exercise that you do is going to help you if you're constantly eating inflammatory foods or foods that are causing you inflammation, right? So we've got to work on food first. So, yes, I teach you how to do that, but then I also teach you how to go beyond food, which is essential in really healing. I'm going to tell you why, because there's three main causes of autoimmunity, okay? Genetics, can't change that. Gut issues, like increased intestinal permeability or leaky gut. Inflammation in the intestines or gut dysbiosis, and a lot of us have all three, okay? And of course, environment. I'll talk about that in a second. So you have to address all of these root causes in order to fully heal, or if you want to put your condition into remission, okay, or get off your medications, right? And when you do this, you will successfully be able to lessen inflammation, stop the progression of your condition, reverse your symptoms, things like brain fog, digestive issues, joint pain, migraines, rashes, fatigue, they all go away. And you can stop another autoimmune condition from forming, or God forbid, something worse like heart disease or cancer or diabetes, right? So today I'm going to share with you my top 5 beyond food things that you need to do in order to really achieve lifelong health here, okay? And I teach you a different one each month inside the Autoimmune Edible RX, but I'm going to teach you my top 5 most important ones, okay? But please know, inside of my course, when we go beyond food on Fridays, this is something I don't want you to worry about until after you've gotten the food portion down, because I don't want you to be stressed. So take it slow, worry about food, and then you can go back to the beyond food stuff, okay? And I put these in order of easiest to do to hardest to do, okay? Because like everything in my program, I want this to be realistic for you, okay? So number one, reduce your exposure to harmful environmental toxins. So if you're putting stuff on your body or you're cleaning with stuff in your home, use a non-toxic product. That's just one example. There are many, many, many different examples, okay? Number two, reduce your exposure to unnecessary stresses, right? Like toxic people, places, and things that no longer serve you, but you keep sticking around because you feel like you have an obligation to them. That is literally driving autoimmunity. It's very, very common. Dr. Gabor Mate has found that there's 4 specific personality types that people with autoimmunity often have, and one of those things is being a people pleaser. Okay, guilty. And then manage the stresses you can avoid, right? If you get stuck in traffic, you got to learn how to deal with that, right? If your boss yells at you, you did something wrong, you have to learn how to deal with that, okay? There's certain things we can't avoid, and so we have to learn how to manage them, and then we avoid the things we can, okay? Number 3, manage your blood sugar. I said it 1,000 times in today's training. Blood sugar spikes cause inflammation. If you have high A1C, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, you have blood sugar dysregulation. Actually, only 7% of Americans are metabolically well. So this is very, very common. Stress spikes blood sugar. Okay, working out spikes blood sugar. High carb diets, high sugar diets, all of these things. Okay, living a sedentary lifestyle, working at a computer, all of these things can lead to blood sugar dysregulation. So it's very, very common. Number 4, you got to heal your gut. I think we talked about that a lot today. If you had any questions about that, let me know. And then you have to regulate your nervous system. Okay, this is, I put this number 5, but it is my top 5, but it is the last one. This I did not work on until I was probably 10 years into my journey, because this is very, very hard work. But I teach you how to do it inside my course and coaching program. So I actually spent over $10,000 working with a trauma specialist to regulate my nervous system. And I teach you everything that I learned for free inside my program, which is crazy. Okay. So if you're watching this and you're like, okay, Chef Laura, you just threw all of this stuff at me. I told you, I didn't want this to be like a long-winded sales call disguised as a workshop. I want you to walk away with a clear plan for healing, okay? I want you to lessen inflammation. Get out of these debilitating symptoms, improve your blood work, get off your medications, prevent another autoimmune diagnosis from forming, and get your life back so you can start doing things you love with the people you love, right? Like we talked about earlier, being able to play with your grandkids, getting up and down from the floor, holding your toddler all day, walking or seeing your kids or your grandkids walk down the aisle, picking up a hobby, right? These are all things that have been taken away from the folks in my community by autoimmunity. Okay. But they're the same things that using diet and lifestyle as medicine helps you get back, because the cause is often the cure, right? So that's what I help you do inside my program, but without over restriction, without the overwhelm, without the boring Zoom calls, without the long-winded coaching calls you have to sit through to wait for your turn, right? Because this program was designed to help you get the maximum amount of results by doing the least amount of work. Okay, so there's quick little trainings that you can read through in 10 minutes. Okay, easy to execute recipes you can whip up in 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. And then I also have monthly step-by-step cooking videos that you can learn proper cooking techniques, chopping, all the things, nutrition information, ingredient education, right? So I'm going to teach you what the course includes. You can see, okay? You get module 1 is all about mindset. You're going to learn like literally how to get out of your head and into the kitchen. You're going to learn how to habit stack, okay? So that you can actually make this work in a realistic way. You're going to learn how to achieve autoimmune food freedom. In module 2, you're going to learn how to peacefully transition away from your current diet. Okay, I'm going to teach you in depth what's so bad about ultra processed foods, so you have the mental ability and the emotional strength to stay away from them, because you know this is killing me, right? You're going to learn how to food chain breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the things. And you can ask for custom coaching. Chef Laura, my family likes this. How can I food chain it? I teach you. You're going to learn how to make your family's favorite meals flare free simply by showing up to the cooking classes and doing the recipes, right? Then you're going to learn how to indulge in your flare foods carefully. I teach you how to eat out at gas stations, how to eat out at restaurants of all different types. I teach you how to eat out at family parties. You're going to learn in depth the 80-20 rule. You're going to learn how to food journal so you can identify and classify your triggers. You're going to learn how to approach the holidays in a realistic way, right? Oops. And then lastly, module 4 is all about cooking flare-free consistently. So you're going to learn how to shop flare-free, how to read labels, how to like shop for my top favorite pantry staples, which ingredients you can use one to one, right? Um, you're going to learn how to make all of your meals alpha-gal safe, blood sugar stable, grain-free, nightshade-free, nut-free, and vegan. So if you have any of these specific, issues, you can eat flare-free. You're also going to learn how to eat flare-free on a budget, right? You're going to learn how to write your own meal plan in 30 minutes or less, and you get a free DIY meal plan template that you can customize. And you're going to learn how everything you need to know so that you can meal prep once and eat for days, including how to package and reheat your meals like a pro so they don't look like leftovers, okay? Now you get 13 seasonal meal plans, 12 bonus holiday recipe packets so you can eat whatever your family loves to eat for the holidays without feeling restricted, okay? This is all the resources, guidance, support that you need to actually make this work for a lifetime, okay? And I mean it when I say that because when you sign up, you get lifetime access to everything inside the program. This is not rushed to get everything done in 6 weeks or 12 weeks so you get your money's worth, right? There's no, well, the 12-week program is up and you didn't figure it out, so bye-bye. No, it's you buy once, you're in there forever because I know that real life happens and you're going to fall off track. You're going to flare and we're going to be there to help you pick up the pieces every single time, okay? So you can see some of the meal plans you get: low carb comfort food, 5 ingredient spring dinners, 30-minute meals, fall festivus. I mean, it goes on and on, okay? Bonus holiday recipe packets, Super Bowl spread. That one's got so many good recipes. The ultimate backyard barbecue's got like 5 different cocktail recipes. I mean, the list goes on and on, guys, okay? I want to tell you about one of my students who said, my dad never lets anybody cook anything for Thanksgiving. He normally does it all on his own. But this year I insisted to help him and I made flare-free sides and I earned side cooker for the rest of the holiday gathering. So you can see I'm in the business of making food that your family's going to love. This is not super healthy AIP where it tastes like grass or rabbit food, okay? You're going to get instant access to our private online community where you can like basically have real-time notifications of everything that happens so you can get the accountability prompts in real time, but also you can access the coaching no matter where you are. So if you're in line at the school pickup, or you're watching your kid's soccer game, or you're a passenger on the way to, church, you can read a 10-minute training and never fall off track, okay? Plus, I'm there for you for personalized support. So anything that you need along the way, I can help you. And I also offer occasional Friday office hours where we can talk one-on-one via WhatsApp to work through anything that you're struggling with, okay? Plus, everybody in the group gets access to an anonymous coaching survey that you can complete anytime if you have a sensitive issue that comes up that you'd rather me help you work on anonymously, okay? So there's multiple different ways to get what you need because I know we're all different. By the end, you're going to have a strong mentality around healing so you can stay consistent, okay? Even in your weakest moments. You're going to have peace around meal times because you're no longer forcing yourself to eat food you don't like, right? You're going to have the ability to enjoy your favorite food at all the holiday parties without ending up in a massive flare, and go out to restaurants when you want to, right? You're going to know what to cook, when to cook it, which groceries to buy, all the things, okay? And I have some amazing bonuses for you guys. If you're interested, um, I've got a 48-hour fast action discount. Okay, this is $99 a month for 12 months. You pay once and you're in there for as long as you need. We do not kick you out after 12 months, or $999 when you pay in full. Now, I will tell you, this is normally $149 a month or $1,500 when you pay in full, and this is the last time I'm ever going to offer the $99 a month or $999 when you pay in full discounted rate. I'm not increasing the price of the program, but I'm never going to offer this discount again. Okay, it's going to stay at $149 a month or $1,500 when you pay in full. So, in addition to the fast action discount, I have fast action bonuses for you. So, you're going to get lifetime access to my Flair Free Pantry Makeover mini course, which there's so much stuff in there I can't even tell you, but teaches you. There's a meal plan in there, teaches you every single thing you need to know about what to buy at the grocery store, as well as how to deal with picky eaters. There's a lot of picky eater bonus content in there for kids. You're going to get my free 5 ingredient protein packed family meal plan. And this is like it's 5 ingredients. It takes no time. There's crock pot chili, there's grilled chicken and potato salad, taco bowls. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a great place to start. Easy peasy, quick and easy. Plus, you're going to get, as I was talking about earlier, you're going to get free access to my meal prep solution course. That's 6 weeks of self-paced meal prep instruction that teaches you how to make 16 meals plus dessert every week for 6 weeks in under 3 hours. That includes setup and cleanup. Now, it also has a built-in accountability system where you can win a prize if you post a picture of your meal prep every week for 6 weeks, okay? This is the secret to actually being consistent with this. So you want this, okay? Plus, you're going to get a free private minute coaching call. You can use it in the beginning or any other time as you're going through things are coming up. Chef Laura, I've been in the program for a year and I'm still struggling with X, Y, and Z. We'll talk about it. Chef Laura, I followed all the people you told me to about the histamine and I'm still confused. We'll talk about it. Okay. And then lastly, and this is the big one, guys, I only have 10 spots available for this. So the first 10 people to sign up will actually get free access to a live 4-week meal prep sprint the last 4 Sundays in August. We're going to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a family of 4. That's 12 meals in under an hour and a half. Okay, that includes some cleanup so that you're not left with a big pile of dishes at the end. Okay, this is transformative. Everybody who comes in and makes it into the live sprint and actually shows up for the live sprint, they end up impressing their doctor off their medication coming out of retirement. If you skip this part, you will struggle to do it on your own. I'm sorry, but it's just the reality. That's why I offer it as a free bonus because it is transformative. Okay. Now we're doing the last 4 Sundays at 2 p.m., but we can change that. I want you guys to get into our private group and vote. Vote on what time would be best for you, and we'll come to an agreement. Also, you get to choose which recipes we do because I want it to be something that you want to eat. Okay. That's over $1,300 of free stuff, guys. Now, look, you don't have to choose between eating well, feeling well, or healing autoimmunity, and you don't have to spend all your free time to make it happen, okay? But if you stay where you are now, stuck spinning your wheels trying to figure this out on your own, knowing consistency is not your strong suit, and you haven't been able to get it done on your own thus far, and you don't start taking these small, actionable baby steps towards making this a lifestyle change that actually sticks, you're going to be stuck dealing with more joint pain, more digestive issues, more brain fog, more crappy sleep, more rashes, more migraines, more diagnoses, more doctor's appointments, more medications, more side effects. That part's inevitable. It just compounds. Autoimmunity does not go away on its own, and you can't wish away inflammation, okay? It's time. Your body wants to heal. It just needs help doing so. So if you're interested, I want you to join the Autoimmune Edible RX. I'm going to put the link in the chat below. It's $99 a month right now for the next 48 hours, and you get everything inside the course, all the bonuses for as long as you need it. It's 52 weeks of live group coaching until you're like, I'm done. I've been in here long enough. I want to see myself out. And you can remove yourself from the group, okay? And guess what, guys? It's 100% money back guaranteed because the program works if you work it. So I'm going to put the link so you can learn more. And you can sign up because this discount does end. And these bonuses, they close on Monday night at 7 p.m. Now, I want to give you your free gift. Let me pull up your free gift for staying to the end. Thank you guys so much for being here, by the way. Oh my gosh. And then I want to open up the floor to questions. I know I went really fast at the end, but I went over 2 hours. I did not plan for this to be 2 hours, so I really do apologize for that. Here's your free gift. Oops. Oops. See if that pops up. No. Okay. It was like black. I don't know why. Why is it black? I want it to be white. Oh, here we go. It's weird. You can change the colors. Okay, here we go. Oh, see if that link works. Okay, your symptom tracker is in the chat below, guys. And what this is your chance to like literally write down what is causing you to flare. So you go out to a restaurant, you follow the steps, you write everything down, write all your symptoms down, and then you can classify them by what's causing you the most pain and what's not, and then you can start to practice to do flare-free math. So I'm gonna close out the recording. Oops. And then I will take your